all we have done is just chopped off the border, and we took off about that much off the bottom of it, so that it fits nicely onto your sign. And we just wanted to make sure that when you go to plop your little farm animals onto your sign, that there's enough room. You don't want to take too much of the newspaper off. I mean, you can get creative if you wanted to not have the whole block of the newspaper. You could do something completely different. It's entirely up to you. You can make it your own. Okay. I'll just get rid of that bit of resin. So these little molds, they've all been poured by me, and they're made of resin, which is essentially a plastic, and they're great for these sorts of projects, and I hope to be doing lots more kits with them. DIY Surprise Craft Box with them, for those that don't have a lot of molds. I think this will be a fun way that you'll be able to join in and experience all the different IOD molds, and not have to buy them if you're a little bit unsure. So at least you get to sort of have a little bit of a play. Oh, thank you, Grace. You can see me now. Audio is a bit funny, sounds a bit echoey, but it's fine. Yeah, I think that's because of the room I'm in the workshop area. Because there's not a lot of furniture in here, it's quite echoey, so that's probably why. So I do apologise about that. I might just turn that up a little bit, hopefully. I do have a microphone plugged in to try and stop that, but it's not working. It's obviously not working, so I do apologise. All right, so now let's get on with the next part. So we were just talking about, I was just talking about, you guys couldn't see what I was doing. Just give your tobacco road a good shake, because it does tend to separate in your little jugs. And you're going to want to grab your little cloth that you have in your kit, in your box, and dampen it. And then I'm just going to squirt some out. Obviously, you guys could put some out on a plate. So that you don't use it all in one go. You can just sort of like dab it out and then just use it as you go. And then a little trick is to grab a spray bottle, and I'm only going to do around the outside so that you can save some of the stain for another project, and because we're going to be covering that up, so there's no point in us really wasting the stain, and we can use it for something else. So I'm just going to go along the edges like so and across the bottom, and the reason why you just saw me spray that is because wood's obviously very porous, and the the Voodoo gel stain is water-based. So if you try to if I just tried to squirt that on to the wood, straight onto the wood, you're going to end up with squiggly lines, which we don't want. And so the water just helps you move that stain around a little bit. Just going to add a little bit more. I'm just going to do the sides as well. I'm not going to worry about the back, but you guys can if you want to. Oops. Have you got anything fun planned for Australia Day, Grace, or are you just taking it easy? It's supposed to be stinking hot here tomorrow. I don't know what it's going to be like where you are in South Australia, but it's going to be a stinker here. I think I'm just going to shut myself in. Well, actually, I'm supposed to be outside painting furniture. That's going to be fun in the heat. At least the paint will dry quick. Okay, so I'm just adding a little bit more just to make that a little bit darker. I'm just running across just need a little bit more on this bottom edge. that's essentially what it looks like. And you might just want to hold your piece of newspaper print over the top of it so that you know that that you've covered it all. Okay, so I'm just going to now, underneath that, I'm going to pop that over to one side, just let that dry for a little bit. And what I'll do is I'll work on our little farm animals. And we're basically just going to use the tobacco road, whatever's left in the tobacco road. There should be heaps there for you to do and have some left over. And we're just going to basically use this as a glaze. So I've just put a tiny weeny little bit on, and I'm just going to go over the top of the molds. Now, I haven't painted them. I didn't paint them because I just thought it was a waste of paint, considering that the molds were white. But you may want to add a little bit of white paint if that's something that you feel like you need to do. You feel like it's a bit weird just going straight onto the resin. I'll show you so you can see the close-up of the one that I've already done. So you can see that, I've just basically gone straight over the resin, and it's given it a really nice mottly kind of look. But it's up to you. If you want to paint yours, go for it. And I kind of just dab to kind of like add a little bit of texture. See how it's making it look a bit grubby and dirty. Ben's working, so I'm going to go and eat pavlova with Mum and Craft. That sounds awesome. Can I come and hang out with you? So 22, so it's not going to be too hot there for you, which is good. Yeah, I think it will probably be an inside day here. I don't know. I'll have to see. It's usually cool down in the garage for a little while. It's the afternoon when it starts to get really hot. So I'm just moving that gel stain into the cracks and just giving it sort of like a dirtied look. And you want to make sure that this dries nicely before you attempt to sort of like put any sort of sealer on it, because otherwise you'll just wipe it straight off. Okay, so I'm just going to put him aside for 1 minute, and then I'm going to move on to the little pig. I'm just going to basically do the same with him. And what will happen is the stain will basically pick up all the definition of the molds, which is kind of cool, and add that depth as well. You can also do this with wax if you've got, like antiquing wax or something like that, but I just wanted it to kind of like all blend in with the colour of the frame, so I just thought, let's just go with the tobacco road. Oops, and I just broke his leg. I don't know how. I see why, because I didn't his little leg didn't fill up properly, but that's okay. I can still use him. The power of glue. Okay, so I'll leave him there. And your poor little leg, you poor little thing. Sorry, Mr. Piggy. Okay. also put it on to the sign. Alright, so I'll just now move on to the little sheep, and you'll see that it'll start picking up all the pattern in the wall, which is kind of cool. Oops. And if you do go on a little bit heavy, just grab a baby wipe and just wipe it off. But I'll probably end up giving them just another light coat. Dry them off. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly dry those off for just quickly. Hopefully this won't be too loud in your ears. So you can see that the cow's a little bit darker than the rest of them, so I'm gonna go back over the cow and the pig. The sheep and the pig. Oh, now I've gone on too dark. And it's just a matter of playing around with it to what you like. Gosh, a few hoons out tonight. If you guys heard that. Okay, just follow Mr. Piggy again. Little legs, yeah. So that's that. Just blow them off. Don't you go away, Mr. Leg. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that over to one side now. And leave that. Okay, so I'm going to bring back my sign again, just make sure I'm happy with the darkness. Actually, that's like that bottom bit just to be a little bit more darker. And then I'm just going to dry that off. Excuse me. Now we're going to decoupage our bit of newsprint onto the sign. Okay, so I'm just going to take the clear coat, which you guys have got in your box. Mine obviously is in a container because I haven't decanted it. And then I'm just going to, we're going to be sealing it anyway, so it doesn't really matter if you go onto the actual part of the sign. So I'm gonna eyeball it. If you're super duper particular, this would be the part where you would want to measure. Oops. So I just put a little bit across the top, and I'm just going to fold this back. And then come down. And don't worry if you get crinkles, because we're going to just use the iron-on technique to get rid of any of your little crinkles that you might have. I sometimes think it's easier to just let the clear coat dry. Just a bit. Like, you know, you just sort of like brush it on and then place it over the top. Your piece over the top, like piece. Place your the newspaper print over the top, and then just put a piece of baking paper over the top, and then iron it. Sometimes that's just a little bit easier than doing it this way, because then you get lots of crinkles, if that makes sense. Or you can get lots of crinkles. Oops. Because this is a little bit thicker than decoupage paper too, it might need a little bit more to get it, you know, stuck down nicely. Okay, now I'm just going to dry that off. And then, just going to grab my trusty piece of baking paper, and I'm going to pop that over the top, and then just iron it out. Do that a couple of times, going right to the very edge. And a normal iron will work if you don't have like a little mini press. Okay, and that is completely, I don't know if you guys can see, that is completely wrinkle free. Alright, so before we go on to the next step, I'm going to seal this whole lot, because, and my finger as well. Because I don't want, you know, like if water or something gets splashed up against the sign, I don't want that to obviously then make the paper run and ruin the sign. And also too, because the stain is water based, that will run too, so we don't want that. So just do a light coat. You don't need to do a heavy coat, otherwise you may get some wrinkle, and if you do, that's okay too. You just go straight back over the top with your, I've got a couple up the top here. I'm just going to go, once it's dry, I'll just go back over lightly with the iron, the press, heat press I mean. Okay. So I'm going to dry that off. And then just to be sure, I'll just go back over with my little iron. Don't leave it too long when you're doing this set, like the last bit, because what you're essentially doing is melting the top coat, which is the glue, and it can sometimes, you know, become quite sticky. So don't do it for too long, just do it really lightly. And then know if you guys can see that. It's all crinkle free. Okay, I'll just pop the lid on this because I don't want to send it flying. Alrighty. So now put on our little, I think I put the cow at the bottom. I think I need to add a little bit more just on the sides here. Just see at the side there I've missed a little bit. I feel like I need to get in there. And now I've gone really dark. See what happens when you go back and fiddle. It's alright. It's hard to get into his little legs. I don't remember having that problem with the other side. Anyway, doesn't matter. Okay. So we'll line him up. And then Mr. Piggy with his broken leg. Poor little piggy. Might shift you up just a little bit. And then the sheep. Making sure that everything's kind of in the center. Like so. And then you just come along with your glue gun, or you can use E600, 1000, whichever it is, E6000 I think it is. I always say E600 and say, no, 6000. Or even the Gorilla Grip's another good one to use if you've got that in your craft stash. But I'm just going to use glue today, the glue gun. Be careful you don't burn yourself. Oops. I got some stain on there. Lucky I sealed. And then just drop that into place. And then apply a bit of pressure. And then just repeat with Mr. Piggy. Nope. Hopefully that's straight. I feel like I'm sitting off center. I don't think it's very straight. Just applying some pressure, and then I'll do his little broken leg. And try really hard not to burn myself or drop it in the wrong spot. So you wouldn't even know. Wouldn't even know. Oh, I don't think he's stuck properly. And then we're just going to do the same again with Mr. Sheepy. Sometimes if like I think with that Mr. Pig, I don't think I filled him up properly with enough resin, so it creates a bit of a hollow. So if it is a bit hollow on the back of yours, it shouldn't be, because I did check them all. Just make sure you've got plenty of glue. Wiggle them around a little bit, make sure everything's in place. So there's a little these all came tied. So if you want to pull it apart and make a different bow, you're more than welcome to. You just kind of figure out where you want to have the bow. And then we just apply our little bit of greenery. So I'm just going to bring it down a little bit so you can see. Just put a dab in the center there. And then kind of tend to put the greenery on first and make sure that's kind of stuck down first, or pretty much all the way stuck down first, and then just grab your little bow and then I hold it all in place. It's up to you. You can have the greenery coming out from underneath the bow if you wanted to, just wherever. Hold that in place for a little while. Did I push that out? No. Okay, so once that's in place, you can make little tails if you want. I can't remember, did I do tails on this one? Yes, I did. So, probably easier to do it when it's before you put the bow on, but anyway. Just to get rid of the rough edge of the ribbon. Good old burlap. Right. Sticking to my hands. Okay. And then I'm going to take out these little stamped pieces of calico, and then we're going to stick those onto the back. You don't have to do this part if you don't want to add this little element. Just be super duper careful you don't burn yourself. And then I'm just going to stick that right on into the middle of his tummy. And I'm going to do the same again with the wink. I just think it adds a nice little element to the to the sign. Something a bit different. And then the cow. And, oh, I didn't seal those, that's okay. So if you forget to seal the molds, like I have, you can still go back over it with a clear wax. I probably wouldn't advise trying to go back over with your clear coat now that you've put these on, because otherwise that'll all look a little bit wrong, if that makes sense. Like that will go all hard. So just grab your a little bit of wax on a cloth like this, on a Chuck's cloth, and then just dab over the top of your molds. But and it also helps too, like if you're cleaning and stuff like that, because if your frame gets dusty, the wax will also help it come off easier. Okay. All right. Play around with it a little bit if you still want to add a little bit more depth with the stain. You can do that too. But yeah, And then on the back, when you flip that over, I need to just sand this little bit here where a little bit of stain's gone over the top, and then you just hammer in your little sawtooth hook. I left them next door in the shop, so I don't have one here to apply, but they're really easy to do. You just push the tack in, and then just use a little hammer, and then just tap it in as if you want to hang it. Otherwise, if you just want it sitting on the shelf, there's no need to. All right, guys. Well, that's me done for our July. Gosh, I'm wishing the year away. It's only January, Sam. Oh boy. Our January's project. I hope you enjoyed putting it together, and I can't wait to see what you do with yours, especially you, Grace, after you have some time with your mum tomorrow and you both put your boxes together. But if you have any questions while you're doing it, feel free to post it here in the group or just message me, and I'm always happy to help. All right, well, happy Australia Day, guys, and I'll be back next month with our project. I can't give you a hint, only because I will give it away. So I'll just be quiet. You'll just have to wait for the sneak peek. All right, guys, I will take a, oh no, we've already posted it, so we don't need to take a photo, but if you need to see it, it's in the blog post, and it's also here in the group. All right, guys, have an awesome weekend. Big hugs. Bye.